always use that word. Past. Hello, my name is Jacob King. I use he, him, his pronouns, and I am this congregation's ministerial intern. I have been a Unitarian Universalist for 4 years and identify theologically as a UU Christian. Some other unique traits about me is I identify as a vegan for spiritual reasons, neurodivergent, ADHD, and a member of the LGBTQIA Two Spirits Plus community, bisexual. Our service today is based thematically around love. Author's note, the audience may go, aww. Love is a universal tenet which spans across faith traditions and cultures. The ancient Greeks had 5 or 6 different words for love, one of which you may all be familiar with, agape, or love for everyone. This term agape can actually be found in Greek translations of the Hebrew Bible and Christian scriptures in commandments compelling people to love their neighbor. In a few days, our society will also be hosting a holiday themed entirely around love, Valentine's Day. The Valentine's Day of old would be much different than what most of us would recognize today. Valentine's Day originally began as a Christian feast day honoring Saint Valentine. Saint Valentine was a priest who spread a message of love in the face of adversity. Saint Valentine was allegedly martyred by the Roman imperial regime for his religious beliefs. Valentine's Day continued to be a rather obscure church holiday for many centuries, until in 1797, a British publishing company created a work around writing love letters for Valentines. This work became so influential that in 1835, nearly 60,000 love letters or Valentines were mailed throughout the United Kingdom on Valentine's Day. This holiday, like many other UK holidays, eventually made it to the US. We can thank the Cadbury Chocolate Company for dastardly imposing chocolate into the mix, allowing us to induce ourselves in miniature food comas by ways of chocolate-shaped hearts. I mentioned how many love letters were sent in 1835. A recent statistic by the US Greeting Card Association, very specific association, estimates nearly 190 million Valentines are sent in the US alone. This number reaches 1 billion if you include Valentines sent in US schools. Teachers are listed as the most common recipients of Valentines. We also recognize another momentous occasion today with the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles duking it out in the Super Bowl. Though many of us still may be reeling from the unfortunate loss of Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills, we can still appreciate and respect the tremendous efforts these two finalists have put in to get to this moment today. Trying to compete with the attention-grabbing production budget of the NFL is quite the challenge on Super Bowl Sunday, but I think you'll be pleasantly surprised about our service today. Our message today is based around Susan Frederick Gray's description of beloved community. Our reading today will be a recording from Religious Education Director Elizabeth Valdez. Music selection is also curated around this beloved community message by our music director, Olga Martinez. Fred Eames, our service associate today, will also be providing some closing remarks. So sit back, get comfortable, and enjoy the show. Yay, chalice lighting. Our chalice lighting today comes from our standard words that will show up on the screen here momentarily. Yep. There it is. Please join me as you are able. Welcoming all free seekers of truth and meaning, we gather to excite the human spirit, to inspire its growth and development, to respond morally and ethically to a troubled world, and to sustain a vital and nurturing religious community.
Our opening hymn today.
To take a moment to welcome those of you who are joining us from Facebook. Wherever you are in body or spirit, we appreciate your presence. You may now play the reading.
Albany UU. Welcoming. Inclusive. Supporting your community. Advocating in your community. Siding with love. Honoring prophetic voices. Supporting spiritual work. Encouraging freedom of expression. Countering oppression. We are Albany UU. Building beloved community. Featuring Irita London and Dave Monroe. Let's begin. What is your name and pronouns?
Irita London, my pronouns are her, she, and hers.
Hi, Dave Monroe, he, him.
How long have you been a UU?
39 years.
I've been a UU member for, I would say, a year and a half.
What does beloved community mean to you?
A beloved community to me means a village of individuals that sometimes will deal with uncomfortable conversations and differences, but they're still open to exploring ways that they can possibly change, and if not change, to modify the circumstances, not only within the community, but within the larger community, which our beloved community exists. I think a beloved community should branch out to be inclusive of the community that surrounds them as well. And what I see from what President Susan Frederick Gray has stated, I believe that words are powerful and that you can't leave assumptions for individuals to know what justice is, to know what being an anti-racist is. I think individuals need to know exactly the kind of commitment or the kind of responsibilities that they have. So I believe that what you stand for should be part of your creed. And
Well, I recently read an article where she was quoted, that quote. And she also said in the article that the most profound gift she ever has received from Unitarian Universalism is the whole beloved community idea. And she quotes Martin Luther King, and this is, I think, an amazing definition. He describes beloved community as one of unconditional love, which seeks the fullest unfolding of the personality of every person.
What are some challenges to building beloved community?
Well, I think one of the biggest ones is our focus on individuality. An awful lot of Unitarian Universalism, at least traditionally, is focused on personal spiritual journey. And I think we need to focus much more on community, not just the community of people that we're together with on Sunday mornings, but the larger community, and try and figure out how to invite them into our religious community as well. Racism obviously is an issue, but economic justice is as well. I think UUs traditionally have been seen as being somewhat elitist, highly educated, and we need to do a much better job reaching out to all economic classes.
some of the challenges that I see as a newer member, I feel that some of the challenges are expanding our generational knowledge, our knowledge about what the millennials and Generation Z are dealing with, how they view faith, how they view beloved community, learning from them, learning how within the context of some of the communities that they use, how we could reach out to larger communities, especially with youth, and to be open to exploring that. I believe that there's still challenges in terms of an equitable society, anti-racism, anti-oppression, and multiculturalism. When I look at the community that I go through to get to the UU building, I often feel the challenge of the larger community that isn't, to me at this time, being beloved.
Special thanks to Dave Monroe for his assistance, also for Irita London for her valuable assistance. You may email any feedback to minister@albanyuu.org and make sure to tell the minister how great of a job this video was. Finally, I will leave you with obligatory pictures of my cats, Kayla and Cuddles. Aww. This video was produced by Jacob King, he, him, ministerial intern, Albany UU.
One, two, three. There we go. Do, re, mi, fa, so. Okay, so that video wasn't enough fun for one service. The meditation for today, you may join in body or spirit as you're able. Don't hit your neighbor.
And so we're going to start with a piece I wrote called Free, Free, Free. Now, there's a lot of different kinds of hand claps that are going in there. And when you're feeling good, don't be afraid to join. Ain't no thing but a chicken. So we're going to show you the different things. So first we begin by just getting our groove on. Orchestra hall better get ready. So we'll start with the basic gullah clap. Can I just say that y'all look beautiful? So we'll start with the basic gullah clap that goes like this. And we make a picture. Yeah. Okay. Now that's just one of the claps. You feeling that? That's just one of the claps. But they, have you seen anything yet? No. Then we go to this one. Go ahead, clap. It's going to be like that. All right, then we have another one, and this is the attitude section. Here's the attitude section. Y'all ready? Attitude, 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 attitude. That's right. Excellent. And now, you're gonna put all three of them together. Let's. How about that, huh? And then I wrote this song called 333. I'll sing it for you, and then you'll see what happens after that. Lord, I'm free, free, free. Lord, I'm free. Lord, I'm free, free, free. Lord, I'm free. I done screamed and I done talked, I done run, I done walked, but it don't matter now, 'cause I'm free. Come on, choir. Lord, I'm free, free, free. Lord, I'm free. Lord, I'm free, free, free. Lord, I'm free, free, free. Lord, I'm free, done scream and I done pop. I done scream and I done pop. I done run, I done run, it's all I can walk. But it don't matter now, cause I'm free. Oh, you sound so good, sing again. Lord, I'm free, free, free. Lord, I'm free. Lord, I'm free, free, free. Lord, I'm free. I don't scream and I don't talk. I don't run, I don't walk. But it don't matter now, cause I'm free. Oh!
Wasn't that fun? Oh, where'd the pretty heart slide go? We gotta show them the chalk heart. Oh, look at that. That was courtesy of Sapphire. She found that. It's pretty cool. Give a thanks to Sapphire. All right, now we come back to the main attraction. I'm gonna start this message with a reading from the book of Matthew, chapter 7, verses 24 to 25, with the language slightly modified to be gender inclusive. This verse comes from the prophetic voice. Jesus of Nazareth is often referred to as the parable of the wise and foolish builders. Everyone then who hears these words of mine and acts on them will be like a wise person who built their house on rock. The rain fell, the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on the house, but it did not fall because it had been founded on rock. From the New Revised Standard Version. As you may be aware, our faith tradition is recently contending with changing our Article 2 bylaws. These bylaws are where our faith tradition's current values and sources are. One of the major changes, as we discussed in last week's service, places love at the center of our faith. Aww. By placing love at the center of our faith, we are changing our tradition's very foundations. Yet, there are some in our faith who argue love is already at the start and allege these changes are unnecessary. I argue these changes are necessary. State thesis: the future of our Unitarian Universalist faith will be a covenantal commitment to building beloved community. Historically, Unitarian Universalism in America was significantly shaped by many influential theologians and organizers. Though Unitarian and Universalism on their own had distinct differences, a common element which bound the two traditions together was a commitment to changing society. While commendable, there were some early UUs who occasionally committed proverbial sins. Sins not in the sense of a spiritual misdeeds allegedly between them and their creator, but sins in the direct meaning of its translation from Greek, which means to miss the mark. One such example will resonate with those who supported changing this hall's very name from its Unitarian author, Ralph Waldo Emerson's namesake. I will not repeat some of the quotes I found because some of them were frankly disgusting then as it is today. But one quote I found in the work English Traits, Emerson describes the offspring of interracial couples in animalistic terms. Now you're going to see the boxes. Even the MT don't know what these boxes are. We got the camera. Oh, look at that. So from our first point, this is Unitarian. Oh my, there we go, yay. Yay, all right. So if you look at it, it's very pretty. I got some sparkles here. It's white, opulent, pearlescent, mainly white. I also have this pretty chalice I made with a heart on top, representing Valentine's Day. Aww. When we're talking about our foundations, however, in the parable I mentioned, they describe the floods coming in, battering against the house. And there's another section of that parable which talks about the houses not built on solid foundation. Those houses, when the foundations are removed from its base and the floods of accountability, justice, and history come in, unfortunately, this foundation does not stand up to muster. Unitarian Universalism has much to offer the world, but it's not the only aspect of our society struggling with our racist past. One such struggle is discussions around critical race theory, or CRT. The National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, or NAACP, defines CRT by stating that racism was not and has never been eradicated from our nation's laws, policies, or institutions, and that it is still woven into the fabric of our existence. Current Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, upon recently banning CRT from being taught in Florida schools, stated the following: "We believe in education, not indoctrination. We believe an important component of freedom in the state of Florida is the freedom from having oppressive ideologies opposed upon you without your consent." Oppressive ideologies. When we're talking about those pesky ideologies, we run into two issues, which I have visual references for. Yay. For some of you who maybe with our Green Sanctuary team, you might be familiar with the term greenwashing. Greenwashing is a tactic companies use to say they're not harming the environment, that they're working towards a better future, even if the words are not demonstrative of their action. I have on this box a red. This is the foundation of our society. And for this one, I drew a pretty earth, representing our world. When we talk about these foundations, much like the biblical analogy, when the rains accountability come in, when our oppressive past comes to seep up and erode those foundations, what many conservative voices are doing, such as in CRT, is trying to bury the truth by adding stones of oppression to try to corrupt the narrative, to end the narrative of discussion. And for the whitewashing analogy, I happen to have some rice here. Isn't that cool? Conservative voices often try to say, maybe our past wasn't so bad. Maybe it truly wasn't what they're saying it is. Maybe historians just have a false liberal agenda and they're just trying to change the way our society is. And they keep adding this false narrative, trying to hide the truth from coming out. But as often comes from the same biblical tradition, the truth shall set us free. Our world is in need of change, but first we must change ourselves. In the book Mistakes and Miracles by Karen Lynn and Nancy Palmer Jones, it offers such a path to change. In the book, there's a quote offering guidance on what a beloved community is from our current Unitarian Universalist Association president, the Reverend Susan Frederick Gray. Reverend Susan Frederick Gray states her definition of beloved community as a community that practices a radically inclusive and compassionate, anti-racist, anti-oppressive, multicultural, multi-generational faith within, and acts powerfully in partnership and solidarity for justice and liberation beyond. This one's got a lot of moving parts to it, so I brought a checklist. This foundation, represented by a cardboard with multicolors and yellow, which many of you will recognize from our Side with Love. This foundation, look at tabula rasa, it's a blank slate. This is the foundation that we will build upon. Look at that, there's nothing in it. When we talk about building that beloved community, it takes a lot to reach even that foundation. By changing our values, we're not only changing that foundation, we're almost ripping the soil out from under it and putting in new soil. The title of this message, Love is at the Start, and that's how we start with beloved community. And luckily it's Valentine's Day, so I was able to get these terrible chalk candies to represent love at the start. We just sprinkle some love. Sprinkle a little bit of love. I haven't had one of these in a while. Wow, that's awful. Can't believe I ever was given those as a child. Susan Frederick Gray says, after love, we must be radically inclusive. I always like the colors of pride to reference that. So we're going to lay a layer of radically inclusivity. Look at that. It's all pretty like. What's our next layer? Oh, compassionate. For this one, I have a reference of the golden rule of humankind, which it doesn't include all of the world's faith traditions, but it has Confucianism, Baha'i, Jainism, Christianity. Essentially, all of them is loving your neighbor as yourself. Compassion. Ooh, the next two. These are fun. Anti-racist, anti-oppressive, which our publishing element seems to help with that. Anti-racist, how to raise an anti-racist by Ibram X. Kendi, and White Fragility, anti-oppressive. The reason why these are in our foundations is because they are what compel us to changing ourselves and our society. Our next two, multicultural, multi-generational. The multicultural is referenced by Black pioneers in a white denomination, the struggle of African-American Unitarian ministers in leading a faith that has predominantly been Caucasian. Multi-generational within, referenced by Season of Hope, Circle of Love, which includes ceremonies that we can do that's not only for people of more experienced life, but also for the young voices in our community. Let's see what we got next. Ooh, partnership and solidarity. This is governance and ministry, rethinking board leadership, which is what the Albany UU board currently follows and is continuing to grow upon. Justice and liberation. They often go hand in hand, but in our definition of beloved community, we recognize them as distinct, separate identities. For justice, I have the new Jim Crow, mass incarceration in the age of colorblindness, and whatever it takes, Geoffrey Canada's quest to change Harlem in America, which for those of you with expert in geography, Harlem's not too far away from here, about 2 hours. We put all these together, but feel like we're missing one thing. Let's see. So we got all the way up for justice. We got all the way up to our layers: radically inclusive, compassionate, anti-racist, anti-oppressive, multicultural, multi-generational, faith within, acts powerfully in partnership and solidarity. For justice and liberation is beyond. These are just the soil. What about our foundation? Well, I could put the white paper back up and start with the blank slate, but we don't usually start with blank slates in Unitarian Universalism. So I suggest a different foundation. Zoom in, camera operator. Look at that narrative exposition. You are the foundation. For those who can't tell on Zoom, this is a mirror. You may acknowledge the narrative exposition involved. Aww. As ministers, we are called to lead denomination and spiritual growth, but we are not the foundation. We are merely here as guiding voices, uplifting voices. You, the community, are the foundation. You are the rock. In the Christian scriptures, Peter, one of Jesus's disciples, is called that rock. You, the congregation, are the rock. But I feel like we're still missing one other item. We have our pretty, colorful representation of our congregation. There's one other thing that we can build this beloved community, but the only way to maintain this beloved community, it's in our revised Article 2, and it's representative of this congregation's 8th principle. Accountability. It's the most challenging of all the aspects. No one likes to be called into an office and told they're doing something wrong. Hopefully my Tuesday is better. So this is represented: mistakes and miracles, congregations on the road to multiculturalism. The reason I included this is it showcases challenges other Unitarian Universalist congregations, much like ourselves, have struggled with our past. It leads the way to the future, which is what this beloved community, with love at the start and accountability, will get us to. The future of our Unitarian Universalist faith will be a covenantal commitment to building beloved community. Today, I've conveyed where Unitarian Universalism has historically been, where much of our world currently is, and the path to building a beloved community. With the nurturing soil of love and the folks of this beloved community as our foundation, we shall overcome our past, we shall change ourselves, and we shall change our world for the better. I will close this message for today with a quote from American activist, educator, and faith leader, Valerie Carr. Loving only ourselves is escapism. Loving only our opponents is self-loathing. Loving only others, ineffective. All three practices together make love. Revolutionary and revolutionary love can only be practiced in the community. May it be so.
Testing. There we are. Good morning. I'm Fred Eames. I'm the service associate this morning. Before I introduce the offering, we need to note that with the exception of the OWL for grades 8 and 9, Sunday morning programming for children and youth ends at 11:15. If you have children in pre-K through 5th grade, please pick them up from their classrooms at that time. Older kids will be released on their own at 11:15 to reconnect with their grown-ups. Please feel free to leave the service when it's time to pick up your children. An important way we celebrate life each Sunday is by offering an opportunity to practice generosity. Members and friends support our congregation with an annual pledge paid throughout the year. Another way to support the good work of this congregation is by making a generous contribution as we pass the plate or via one of the options shown on this next slide. If you are joining us virtually, you can click on the tiny URL link in the chat window to contribute, or you can send a text to the number shown on the screen. The examples on the slide show how to label your text to indicate the amount and the purpose of your gift. We'll say goodbye now to our Facebook friends. Please consider joining us on Zoom next time or visit us in person here at 405 Washington Avenue in Albany. You can find more information at albanyuu.org. And we'll have some offertory music.
Good morning. My name is Eric Van Housen, and I am on duty today as a pastoral care associate. I'm a Unitarian Universalist that does not love football, but does love delicious snacks, which I will be eating today. I did that love with them. Yeah. Okay, moving along. On duty today with me is Annie Lipinski. This is the time set aside in our service for sharing significant personal milestones in our lives. There are several ways to share a joy or sorrow. On Zoom, you can click the raise hand symbol. The technician will call you to unmute and share your joy or sorrow. Those in Community Hall will be able to come forward and select a stone to place in the bowl on the table. If you wish, you can share your joy or sorrow at the microphone. Please also consider sharing your joy or sorrow after the service with one of the pastoral care associates. We'll begin by reading items that were submitted this past week. That will be followed by spoken joys and sorrows on Zoom, and finishing with any joys and sorrows to be shared from Community Hall. Kate, do we have any that were submitted this past week?
I have no pre-submitted joys or sorrows.
Okay, how about anyone who wishes to state their joy or sorrow on Zoom?
So far, we have no raised hands on Zoom.
Okay, we can come back to them if any pop up. Those wishing to move a stone are now invited to come forward. If you wish to speak your joy or sorrow, you can wait with the usher at the microphone.
Hi, Tanya Hotalin here. I just had a great connection this week with my sister. She had a stroke like 4 years ago, and physically she's been fine, but mentally she's 7.5 years older than me, so it's age too. But she and her husband had not been to my apartment since our 50th wedding anniversary celebration 4 years ago. And I finally got around to inviting her for lunch yesterday. So we had a wonderful connection, and I'm just so grateful for that.
Good morning. I'm Mary Applegate, and I'm standing up here full of joy at how wonderfully well the event here on Friday evening went. We in our new partnership with Upper Hudson Planned Parenthood had a sort of educational and uplifting evening, learning about the state of abortion in the country and in our area today, and being truly inspired by a group of women in the 1960s and 70s called the Janes. We saw a wonderful documentary about them. And I was just thinking, they illustrate so well one of the sources of our faith that you can find in the front of the hymnal. I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget them. The words and deeds of prophetic women and men, which challenge us to confront powers and structures of evil with justice, compassion, and the transforming power of love. So it was a wonderful evening. Thank you to everybody who helped with the planning, with the cookie baking, with the chair moving, and last but not least, the Endowment Trust, which helped finance the whole evening. So many thanks.
Good morning, Al DeSalvo here. With the increased homogenation of our culture, and hopefully we can get back to some of the diversity that we really honor. Today is actually the greatest president's birthday, Abraham Lincoln. I don't know why we have President's Day, but more importantly, today is also the birthday of my mother, who was born in 1909, died in 1995, and I remember her fondly. A woman who truly loved people, went through some very difficult times in her life, including being an orphan at the age of 15, and lived through the Depression and World War II, lost twins during the war, who were born and then died, but still was a wonderful, positive, strong woman who loved her community and did a lot of wonderful volunteer work.
Hi, I'm Christine Carrera. My daughter Scarlett is going to be 19 on Valentine's Day, and she's off at college, and she was raised in this community. So I just will be celebrating her first birthday with her not at home, off at college. That's my joy for today. And maybe I'll go celebrate and listen to Taina. I did that in previous years, and it's amazing. And my sorrow is with the people in Turkey and Syria. My thoughts and prayers are with them.
Hey, did anyone up here on Zoom?
We have no raised hands on Zoom.
Okay. As I select a stone on behalf of those joys and sorrows that are left unspoken, let us hold all that we've heard and felt in our hearts.
I will offer a prayer for the joys and sorrows stated today. You may join me in a prayer, meditation, or reflection, whichever you are most comfortable with it. Spirit of hope and love, divine of many names, I am so grateful to be in the presence of such wonderful folks building beloved communities today. We recognize the challenges of many sorrows this week, recognizing struggles with family members having health decline, be it physical health or mental health. Challenges with being geographically distanced from family members. It's tough even with our Zoom capabilities and video conference call capabilities, being physically with our loved ones is a wonderful blessing. We also recognize the challenges and struggles, the utmost grief facing Turkey and Syria right now. Many people struggling to rebuild their lives after such a horrific catastrophe. We also recognize many joys this week. The joy, that agape love of loving family. We also recognize former President Lincoln's birthday, did great things for this country and helped to make us much closer to building the beloved community. I also recognize this congregation's support for reproductive justice. It's facing many folks of all geographical backgrounds across this country, and I'm proud to be in a state with a community that is vehemently supporting it. We also recognize the joy of another birthday passing with children, family members every year. Another year on this planet is a great year. Offer this prayer and blessing with peace, hope, and love. May it be so.
If you are a guest or a visitor with us this morning, we'd like to get to know you. Perhaps you might like to tell us who you are and where you're from. If you're here in Community Hall, you may stand and raise your hand. The usher will bring you a microphone so that everyone can hear you. Those joining us on Zoom can click on the raise hand symbol. Our technician will then invite you to unmute and introduce yourself. Or you can also click on the visitor link that you'll find in the chat window. Anyone there?
Hi there, Fred. You know me. I'm Charlie Scholes. Right now we live in Beverwick, and I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. Thank you for telling us to come, and a couple of other friends here too. I look forward to meeting you afterwards. I'll tell you more about myself then. Thank you.
My name is Isaac. I'm here with my girlfriend, Destiny. I've been a lifelong Unitarian. My mother's a Unitarian minister, currently serving as an interim minister in State College, Pennsylvania. So well-versed with what's going on here. It's my second time here. I was here like a few years ago, but decided to dip my toes back into things. So we'll be over at the coffee hour if anyone wants to say hello. So yeah, thank you.
Oh, welcome.
Hi, I'm Selena Matson.
Oh, and Mark Matson.
We're here. Our kids are upstairs. This is our first time. We have mixed religious background, and we just wanted to get connected with some religious structure that we felt everybody could participate in our household. Thank you.
Wow.
Are there others on Zoom?
We have no raised hands on Zoom.
Thank you, and welcome to everyone who's joined us today. If you'd like to learn more about our congregation or Unitarian Universalism, you can stop by the table in the lobby and speak with Amy Lent, who is our welcome table host. On Zoom, you can find in the participant window someone with welcome before their name. You can reach out to that person in the chat window. There will also be opportunities to socialize and welcome newcomers after the service, both for those on Zoom and for those here in Community Hall. Now, let's see, announcements. Now, I have one announcement that was handed to me before. The Octavia Butler Book Group announces that a new 13-week book discussion is beginning on Sunday, today, February 12th, at 7 o'clock on Zoom. The novel is Mind of My Mind by Octavia E. Butler. We will discuss one chapter per week and use the podcast Octavia's Parables to guide our discussions. You can join the group even if you haven't read any of the other novels discussed. You can see more details in Windows Weekly or contact Anne Marie Haber. That is at amhaber@aol.com. Let's see, are there other announcements at this time? Ed?
Okay, didn't make it in print apparently, but today or Valentine's Day, Grandmothers for Peace will be doing a vigil for showing their love for the people of Ukraine and asking for peace in Ukraine. They will do their standing at the corner of Wolf Road and Central Avenue, 4 o'clock on Valentine's Day. And I'm sure their love now extends to the people of Turkey and Syria who have incredible grief. So Tuesday, 4 o'clock.
Thanks, Ed. I draw your attention also to the announcements printed in the order of service and shown on the screen. Closing words. When I was a more faithful Presbyterian, I often looked forward to the benediction, especially, not just because that was the end of the service, but it was always, it was sort of a benediction and a charge. It was a charge to the congregation. And maybe partly charge, like charge up the battery, you know, getting your energy for the week, but also charge in the sense of, here is your charge. These are your instructions. This is what you're supposed to do for the next week. So maybe I always sort of like to be told what to do. These words from John Lewis. John Lewis, who is a civil rights worker, civil rights activist, civil rights movement leader for years, and served for many years in Congress as representative and senator from Georgia. These words: you are a light. You are the light. Never let anyone, any person, or any force dampen or dim or diminish your light. Study the path of others to make your way easier and more abundant. Lean toward the whispers of your own heart. Discover the universal truth and follow its dictates. Release the need to hate, the need to harbor division. Release the enticement of revenge. Release all bitterness. Hold only love, only peace in your heart, knowing that the battle of good to overcome evil is already won. Choose confrontation wisely, but when it is your time, don't be afraid to stand up and speak out against injustice. And if you follow the truth down the road to peace and to the affirmation of love, if you shine like a beacon for all to see, then the poetry of all the great dreamers and philosophers is yours to manifest in a nation, a world community, a beloved community that is finally at peace with itself. Community announcement, Mr. John Sherman.
First, I apologize for coming with this
after Fred's wonderful words there. It's really meaningful. Thank you, Jacob, for inviting Peggy and me to say a few words about circle dinners, and also for participating in some of our circle dinners. Our objective is to strengthen our beloved Albany UU family by getting to know each other better. Circle dinners are an easy and fun way of doing the important work of developing that beloved family, beloved community, while sharing conversations and delicious food in a relaxed atmosphere. It's been very important to us for a decade or more now, but even during the pandemic, our Zoom circle dinners were quite successful, although we're grateful to now be in a place where the pandemic has eased enough that we're able to meet in person. Circle dinners are collaborative potluck dinners shared by 6 to 10 people, made up of newcomers and old timers, friends and acquaintances, all ages, single or with partners. Guests contribute favorite dishes, or if they don't pick, they pick up something at the grocery store. Hosts are the ones who coordinate the contributions to the individual tables. Everyone is welcome. We want everyone to feel comfortable. We routinely accommodate food allergies, dietary restrictions, and other specific personal needs such as transportation. If you haven't participated, or it's been a while since you did participate the last time, please take this opportunity to join in the fun. We're hosting the coffee table this morning, so you can stop by and talk with us and sign up for the next circle dinner, which is later this month, Saturday, February 25th, from 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock. The deadline for signing up is next Sunday, February 19th. You can email me at johnsherman@gmail.com. Thank you.
Extinguish this flame. Not the light of truth, but the warmth of community, the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Those on Zoom are encouraged to join a breakout room for conversation and fellowship. You can click to accept the breakout room assignment when it appears on your screen. Those in Community Hall here are invited to attend the coffee hour. We especially encourage guests and visitors to join us for coffee and conversation. Anyone on Zoom or in Community Hall is welcome to attend a congregational response to discuss service topic. You can stay in the same Zoom meeting, or you can stay right here in Community Hall, and the discussion will begin in a few minutes. Those wishing now to socialize with others are asked to exit the hall so that the congregational response can start promptly. We're glad you joined us today. This concludes our service.